1260 KLYC, I'm Dave. Welcome to Town Hall. We just played Creedence Clearwater Revival, Looking Out My Back Door. Hope you like that song. I love that song, but we'll wait a little bit longer before we play it again. Good evening. Glad you're with us today. We are broadcasting on the radio, AM 1260, and also on a video web stream. You can go you can see by going to our website, klyc.us, or our Facebook page, KLYC Radio. It's our goal to talk about issues affecting Yamhill County, McMinnville, and other communities in the area. It's going to be everything from economic development to taxes to infrastructure, water sewer rates, marijuana. One of the programs we're pretty excited about is the Innovate Project. And the Innovate Project is using the internet to bolster the economy, bring more jobs, bring more money to area businesses, and increase the quality of life. Dayton has been very successful in the Innovate Dayton project. Willamina is signing on for the Innovate Willamina project. And we're going to have more than one show talking about what is this, how does it work, how do we create more jobs with broadband internet. Online Northwest will also be on the show. So that's pretty exciting. And the folks in Dayton especially are really, really excited about some of the possibilities, and more to come on that. For tonight, we're going to be talking about tourism in McMinnville. And Jeff Knapp is the Executive Director of Visit McMinnville. Jeff, welcome to our first KLYC Town Hall program.
Good to be here.
So
apologize ahead of time for any throat clearing. I've got a little bit of a cold.
That's okay.
All right.
I've got a little bit of the same thing, so that's all right. Let's talk about Visit McMinnville. What is Visit McMinnville?
Visit McMinnville is the newest economic development organization for the city of McMinnville. So we are you can think of us as a marketing agency with one client, and that is the city of McMinnville. And it's our job to create economic development through the promotion of McMinnville as a year-round overnight destination for visitors.
Some people might be confused and they say, well, we've already got a Chamber of Commerce. Why do we need another organization?
So that is a very good question. The city did a lot of research. 2 years ago, transient lodging taxes were passed, instituting taxes on hotel rooms for visitors or vacation rentals, anyone coming to stay for less than 30 days in a vacation rental or hotel. And the city did a lot of research on how to spend those dollars. Traditionally, there's two different models. You can funnel those monies into your local chamber and add an additional role to your chamber's plate, or you can create what is a destination marketing model, which is the route that they chose to go. It is a more focused, in my opinion, a more focused use of those funds. We have one job, that's marketing. We don't issue grants, we don't throw events, we're not focused on infrastructure. We have one job, and that is to generate as much interest in visiting our city and spending as much money with our local tourism stakeholders as possible.
One could also say that the local Chamber of Commerce is also focused on promoting the city of McMinnville here locally, where you're more focused on promoting McMinnville to people outside the area.
Completely. So we are the newest organization for economic development. There's 4 here in town. You've got the Chamber, who's definitely focused inward on business-to-business networking, on education, on government, and keeping local businesses abreast of what's happening politically that could affect their business. We have the McMinnville Educational, the McMinnville Economic Development Partnership, Jody Christensen leads, which is also looking outward and attracting business and industry here locally, and then promoting the industry that we've got. We've got the Downtown Association, focused on historical preservation and downtown commerce. And then you've got us, and we're predominantly outward. So a lot of the things that we do, is marketing outside of town. So we try to do a bit. This is great for us that we can, get the word out locally about what we're doing, because so much of what we do is not necessarily seen by the people that live here.
Now, one of the things we want to do with Town Hall is give you an opportunity to ask questions or make comments. You can go online to KLYC Radio. There's a little YouTube link on the bottom right-hand side. Click on that, and you'll see a window open up, and you'll see an option there on the right-hand side where you can type in your comments or your questions. In the future, we'll have ability for you to call in, phone in your questions and comments, but we don't have that for you this evening. So we want you to be involved in the discussion. This is the idea about doing this, is to get information out there so you know what's going on. So we're going to ask questions that you might be thinking of, like, why do we need another organization other than the Chamber of Commerce? What brings people to McMinnville?
That's a good question, and one that we can ask or we can answer anecdotally right now, because we are such a new organization, only been around a year. We have deployed resources. We hired survey ambassadors to help us over the summer months issue surveys here downtown, at Evergreen, at local attractions, to figure out who the people are that are coming here, what they're doing while they're here, all of those questions that we would want some tangible data on. Right now, it's anecdotal. I think that it's hard to deny the overwhelming impact of the Oregon wine industry. It's a $3.5 billion industry for the state of Oregon, and we sit right in the middle of it. So, anecdotally and word on the street,
sure,
if you live here locally, is that food and beverage tourism is the predominant driver. We've got an amazing world-class museum that brings a ton of visitors as well. But when we look at things proportionally, I think the majority of people that are coming and staying overnight are doing so currently for food and beverage.
Where are they coming from? California?
No, I can tell you, I don't have the data yet, but I can tell you from my experience the last 8 years I've worked in the wine industry here locally. Nationally, they're coming from areas like Texas, North Carolina, Minneapolis, St. Paul area. There's a large influx. You have a large amount of visitors that are coming from Arizona, especially, kind of doing that seasonal swap, escaping the desert and coming here to the lovely lush green that we've got. We do have a lot of California tourism. We have a lot of tourism from Vancouver, BC, and the Pacific Northwest. We'll be getting the data from the surveys back in the next week or two. We'll be presenting those to City Council, and that'll be public information as well. I think it's the first time that we'll really have tangible visitor data to see those numbers. The initial, they're coming internationally as well, though. We host media from all over the world through Travel Oregon, and we see great amount of visitors, or a significant amount of visitors, from Canada, Australia, and Japan.
Here, just this last summer, McMinnville was on the map as far as we were trying to get the best Main Street in America, and we came up with number 2. How long does that story last? I mean, how much?
Well, I think.
How long can we ride that wagon, so to speak?
Well, I think we're still riding it. We're currently up for a Sunset Magazine Award for Best Main Street. I think when you've got an asset and such a vibrant, historic downtown, it's going to keep generating positive press. It's an attractive thing. There's a lot of thought and conservation that went into keeping that how it is and building it up to what it is now. So I think that will continue to be a story. We'll ride those awards, and we'll just be out there getting more, I think.
So the wine industry is a big draw for tourism. McMinnville is on the map for a couple things. Number 1 is the UFO Festival. I know they say that they're weird in Portland, but in some ways we're definitely unique in McMinnville, where we have the UFO Festival. And we've talked to some folks that said that this UFO festival is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, UFO festival on the planet.
I think we are officially the largest. That was confirmed with Rebecca Quant, who's the new head of the Downtown Association this year. We have the largest UFO festival, I think, in the world. Definitely in the United States. It's a big thing, and we will definitely be promoting it. And it's weird, people love something a little different. It's fun.
That's important to put you on the radar of tourists, isn't it?
I think any unique story is marketable, and that's definitely something that will put us on the radar. And it's also one of the only undisputed photos of an unidentified flying object, from what I understand.
Go to McMinnville. It's almost like the movie. What movie was that where the UFOs come and
Mars Attacks or
something like
Third Close Encounters.
Something like that. When
Yeah.
you go to McMinnville and you can to McMinnimums,
Sure.
and you sit up there on the roof and wait for the UFOs to come.
I think
now,
we've got-
when you advertise to somebody like in Minneapolis,
Sure.
do you tell them about that or what?
So we're not currently I mean, the advertising that would reach them currently is through social media.
Sure.
Those pockets of travelers currently are finding us through the industry or through other means. Our marketing efforts currently, we have one direct national media buy. And those are digital advertisements placed on TripAdvisor. So if people are looking to travel throughout Oregon, they are females between the ages of 34 and 55, or I think that's the demographic, have interested in food and wine. They'll be served advertising digital ads to visit McMinnville. Minneapolis, those types of other areas are strictly, I would guess, wine lovers and fans of what we produce, and they find us in other ways. Our current first year, we're focused heavily with marketing on the Northwest in our backyard. So we're trying to access people that may or may not have heard about McMinnville that are more likely to know who we are and what we're doing, and we're just giving them that little push and extra reason to come and stay the weekend or a week or a month.
What is the image that you're trying to put into the mind of tourists about McMinnville? This image. So what do we want to be in their mind?
I think it depends on who we're marketing to. So, we have 4 different types of people that we are marketing to and attracting. So we are directing marketing towards a luxury traveler, maybe a more mature, retired, aged demographic. We are also marketing towards family, so family travel, things that are you can do with your kids, museums and parks and toy stores. The young foodie couple who is interested in food and wine. And then we have a large amount of these girls' weekend travels that come down for girls' weekends and girls' getaways, and we're marketing them as well. As far as what we're branding, how we're branding
Sure.
McMinnville, we're leading with food and beverage. So we're really branding, we're leading currently with McMinnville being the heart of Oregon wine country. And we're telling that story in different ways to those different demographics specifically.
How do you tell the story? You use the internet, and then how do you determine that is being successful? What metrics are you using?
So our metrics, we measure our success in 2 ways. I'll answer that question
Sure.
backwards. So the great thing about the model that we're using and why it's really, for marketing, a very strong model is that you can measure it. So we measure our success in 2 ways. We can see the transient lodging taxes that we create. We get the data as far as the income that we make through those taxes, blended with occupancy data. So occupancy and rate, the more people that are coming here, staying in our vacation rentals and hotels, over time, blended with those dollars, are immeasurable for us. So if those are going up, we're theoretically doing our job. All of our efforts that we are executing, and we're doing a lot of different types of marketing. We're in print, television, digital, radio, social media, on and on. All of those have a call to action to visit our website. So website, we want to create the most useful tool for people to visit our area through our website. So we can measure the amount of traffic we drive to that site, and then in turn the amount of traffic that we're pushing off of our site as quickly as possible to local tourism stakeholders and how they benefit from that. So those are our main metrics. How we get the message out are through all of those avenues. So
you're pointing everybody to the website. That brings me to my next question. How important is the internet in bringing people over here? I guess critical to you.
I mean, it's huge. I think that, everyone now is, this is their, it's in their pocket all the time. It's
Everyone?
Well,
even
okay.
the
You're right.
90-year-old people, but
No,
it's
I mean, that's
amazing.
not 90-year-old people do travel, and
Sure.
and they find out about us. So
Right.
the media is consumed in so many different ways. We want to be accessible on all forms of media. We're mobile first is how we're focusing the majority of that, because that's the way demographically people are making decisions and where we need to be. So we need to have an accurate mobile presence, whether that's on a laptop or your phone. We want to have, we've had Pandora advertisements. We're on YouTube channels. We're creating live video content, just like you're doing here. We are investing in photography. It's really about staying constant and producing new compelling creative, which will change, whether that is, photography of kids playing at the pool at the Air Museum, or, taking a tour of the Spruce Goose, or someone at a large, at the IPNC enjoying salmon around a bonfire. It's really just taking these vignettes. We work with media influencers, social media influencers, bringing them to town, highlighting, amplifying our message. We purchase full page, professional advertisements in local or regional magazines. I don't know. We're working fast and furious. We were able to run very quickly this year, and we've made a lot of impact.
So right now you're focusing your marketing efforts in the Northwest to bring people from Portland and maybe Southern Oregon to McMinnville.
Mm-hmm.
Do you work with other cities in the region, maybe Salem, maybe Newburgh, in kind of a cooperative marketing approach?
So we are, the way that the travel industry in Oregon is broken out, we've got Travel Oregon on top. That feeds down to what they call RDMOs, or regional destination marketing organizations. So then from there, we would be part of the Willamette Valley Visitors Association. And then from there, we would be reporting to the Yamhill Valley Visitors Association. That association currently is undergoing some research on how to be a more financially viable organization. So we are currently 1 year in, and we're looking to partner with all of those folks. We're not currently participating in a cooperative marketing campaign. However, I am meeting with the Willamette Valley Visitors Association next week and talking about how we can do just that. I think there's opportunities through Oregon license plate tax funding that we can, have some collaborative regional impact with marketing.
What's your budget? How much money does it take to run Visit McMinnville?
Does it take to run it? Our annual income is roughly $500,000, so it's $550,000-$600,000. And currently, in our current iteration, the board is supporting an aggressive deployment of those funds. So for us, we have a pretty dependable revenue stream. People knock on wood that we don't have a catastrophic incident that stops travel dead in its tracks. We are playing aggressive marketing. So we're looking to spend aggressively and strategically, and that's why that data is really important. We don't want to just be scatter shooting.
So $500,000 is your annual budget?
Annual budget.
And where does that come from? Transient room taxes?
Transient room tax.
Most of it? All of it?
All of it. All of it. So by law, a certain percentage has to be spent. So in Oregon, there is I'm sorry, now I'm live on the radio. I'm going to get all of my stats wrong. We essentially get 70% of the funds that the city collects. The city gets 30% of those taxes, which is an 8% tax, and 70% goes to fund our organization. And we're a nonprofit, 501c6, contracted on behalf of the city to do this work.
So right now, the food and wine is a big draw for McMinnville. A major development this year at Evergreen.
Huge.
Where everybody were wondering if it was going to stay in its current configuration as a museum, or whether it was going to become a factory of some kind. So now it looks like, obviously, that's going to stay as a museum. Are you excited about the direction, staying as a museum, but also having a major player in the tourism industry come in and essentially save it from bankruptcy?
There is nothing but opportunity there. So it's huge. It's great for us. That is such an asset to have a world-class museum like that, a campus like that, the amount of volunteers that run the day-to-day the docents that work out there. It's such an impressive campus, and to bring a hotel and potentially conference space, which is something that could really take McMinnville to the next level. We're really lacking on event space, conference centers, indoor, year-round music venues, or sports facilities. Those are the types of infrastructural things or investments that we can really take to the next level and keep us focused on year-round promotion of attracting visitors here to stay in our hotels and to eat in our restaurants and to shop in our stores. So the movement forward at Evergreen is a really big deal. Not only will we get hotel rooms, but we're going to keep growing that Evergreen campus as a museum.
So you're going to be working with the Falls Event Center as they're
are.
working. Have you already worked with
We've
them?
met with them quite 5 or 6 times in the last handful of months. So yes, they're keeping us as informed as they can. They're working very quickly on what's happening out there. I know that they are. Their team is moving into town and setting up a house here to sort of the base camp their operations. And it sounds like they are shooting for November of next year to be opened with a hotel, a 90-room hotel.
That's a big thing. That's a good thing.
It's a great thing. We are in the high season, which is we just got out of, which is really June through October. We are at a very high capacity. There's not a lot of places with rooms left. So our main focus for tourism and our tourism dollars spend is really to influence the shoulder season and the low season. So let's get people here now. Let's get people here in January and February, and the way that we do that is, making it an attractive destination, focusing on how close we are to major metropolitan food and beverage meccas such as Portland. Our close, we're a stone's throw to the coast and to Portland. We have over 250 wineries within 20 miles of us that are open, majority now 7 days a week. Traffic is slower. You can come. You can live like a local here and experience that charm that was why I moved here.
Let's speak of the charm, and let's speak especially of what people who live here can do to be welcoming to the tourists. You and I you've gone to cities where people aren't that friendly. People are friendly here in McMinnville, but if we could just say, folks, this is where we need to take it to the next level to excel in our hospitality. What do we need to do?
I think inherently the people in McMinnville have the warmth and that genuine authenticity already. I think general hospitality service training, maybe for people that are just getting into the industry could be something that we could work on as a community. I think just if everyone thought of themselves as sort of their own local concierge, like you're giving someone your secret inside tip on where to have breakfast or where to find a great pair of shoes or what park to look at, empowering people to take ownership and spreading that, the reason why they love to live and work here, and sharing that, I think that's as simple as it could get. If you look at yourself as your own community ambassador, and I see that happening all the time. I mean, that's literally the reason why I chose to move here. We showed up looking at Oregon as a place to live, and I was looking. We came over the holidays because we thought, okay, if we can live where it's so rainy and there's no sun, we got to go make sure we can do that. So we spent 2 weeks based in Portland. Thought we'd come out and check out wine country. Stumbled upon 3rd Street. Just had this magical, friendly, experience. This Norman Rockwell kind of thing for me.
Right.
And the hospitality sealed the deal, and the magic of 3rd Street and the magic of McMinnville. And fast forward, 12 years later, I ended up finding out how to move here.
Let's go back to the Main Street honors that McMinnville were given. Second place, best Main Street in the U.S., I believe. Sunset. It wasn't Sunset Magazine.
Parade
Magazine.
And it was USA Today that we were up for that as well. But Parade, we got the second place.
So Parade Magazine,
Yep.
second place in the nation as far as best destination or best Main Street. If you had to put a dollar amount on that, what would that be?
On that marketing value?
Yes.
Oh my God, you can't pay.
$1 million more?
I mean, I don't. Those types of things go a long way. Advertisement, is expensive. It's really expensive to market. When you say like, what's your budget to market your town? Visit McMinnville. You have $500,000. That sounds like a ridiculous amount of money. Marketing is the most expensive thing you can do. So, I don't know if I could put a price figure on it. It would be a lot of money. A lot of money. All of those things, all of that type of earned media, the perception, and Parade Magazine. It's in everyone's newspaper on Sunday when they open it up. That's like America's Sunday tableside reading.
Sure.
I couldn't put a price on that. I don't know. It's great. It's an honor, and that's we as Visit McMinnville have an active PR company now. So we work actively pitching our story and selling our story and bringing writers to town and showing videos and linking them to local producers of products. In fact, after this radio program, I'm going to go have dinner with one. So those stories hopefully will, come more frequent. They will come more frequently. We'll be hosting a writer from Forbes and a writer from Bon Appetit over the next 2 months. So people are going to know, they're going to know to come check us out. You will be, we already are seeing the effects of that, and we will continue to see people coming to explore.
So you're having a dinner with a writer tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Do they contact you? Do you call and pitch them?
So our PR company works those relationships for us. This particular writer I had met previously at Feast, which is a food and beverage festival in Portland. But those, it can happen that way. Most of our media comes through our PR company, or through we also get referrals through Travel Oregon through those tourism related connections through Travel Oregon. Oregon in general is on the national and international scene a very well-respected food and beverage destination. It's a very hot time in the food and beverage culture, both for the products that we make in Oregon and as a food and beverage destination. So we'll benefit greatly from that momentum.
Speaking of momentum in the Oregon wine industry, the Oregon wine industry is growing. In my travels around Oregon and in places like on the eastern side of the state that you typically, even in southwest Idaho, which you typically did not think of as a wine place, you're seeing wineries there. What are you hearing from the wine industry? Is the wine industry moving from California northward because of water situations or what? It just seems to be really exploding here in Oregon.
The industry is growing significantly in Oregon for a couple of reasons. One, Oregon has done a really, really great job of branding. So we have a brand reputation of creating a very luxury level product. So it's expensive. The product that we make is expensive, and people are willing to pay for it. It's a smaller piece of the market, but it has a very it's as far as brand and reputation, it's very hard to create that. It's taken 50 years for the Oregon wine industry to fashion that message. So, and land is cheap, so relative to other wine growing regions. So we have a lot of outside investment. Most recently with Jackson Family Wines out of California. We've got Louis Jadot from France. We have the original Joseph Drouin back in the 80s coming and planting. Amongst others. So you'll see more of that. And second generation winery owners, in transition, do we hand over, we're at this time where second generation winery owners are taking over, and the first generation maybe are saying, I've done my thing, it's time to maybe try to sell that off. And so there's opportunities for people to acquire. There's a lot of mergers and acquisitions talk in Oregon right now.
Are we going to become the new Napa Valley?
I don't think we could ever become. No, we're not. Okay. We're not set up that way. Oregon in general is not a. It would be a very different thing. I mean, if anything, we would be closer to like maybe a Healdsburg, Northern Sonoma Valley. I think we'll all inherently be Oregon. I mean, just the people that work here. There's a different set of rules here. People do things differently. and their values are a little different. And I think the community holds on to that. What Napa's done really well is brand Napa. I mean, Napa equals big red wine, very expensive. It's got a high brand, and I think that how we create our brand will be equally as impactful, but it'll be our story.
So during the time of the UFO festival, let's change gears, talk about the UFO festival for a little bit. As that happens, what is your role? What do you do? Do you reach out with TV, radio, print, whatever in other parts of the country, like maybe in Minneapolis?
Yeah. So our PR company that'll be part of their pitch. So we feed them stories, and they pitch those stories to the appropriate audience or the appropriate avenue and media. On what we will do is be using our social media channels to promote that, our videography to cover it, and we can be making impact regionally right now because that's where our focus is currently with our budgeting. Outside of the U.S. or outside of just Oregon,
Northwest.
The Northwest, our PR company will be working to spread that message. So it's on their radar, and we'll be working in conjunction with McMinnville as well. So they have a pretty great PR machine, those McMinnville brothers.
So you work a lot with the PR company to decide where to spend the money and which regions are actively looking at coming to McMinnville.
Pitching specific writers on stories. So they're not so much regionally focused. They're focused on who's going to get us the biggest platform for our message. We strategize where we want to, as far as part of the country, that's more of our direction. And that'll be, as we move forward, really data-driven. So as we get the data back from our surveys, and as we take that data and compare it to Travel Oregon data, the Runyon report, and those types of things, do we eventually, we'll be advertising internationally, we'll start regionally, move nationally, but again, that takes dollars to have that big of an impact. If we want to focus on Texas, we need to be there for 2 or 3 years in select markets, really hammering that in, or we're just sort of, in my opinion, throwing our money away. So we're a few years away as we get more rooms and more room taxes. We generate more revenue as an organization as we grow internally and bring on sales team, pitching our destinations to local sporting events or concerts or conventions. As we grow and we have those resources, then we can start looking to really play on a national level with direct marketing. Right now we rely on PR, who pitches stories to, all sorts of media. Forbes, for instance, they'll be here.
So somewhat right now we're in the role of a hawker, just throwing our message out there and seeing who responds.
For PR, we're shopping, specific stories. It's not just whoever, we're shopping the right media for the story we're telling. But as far as our direct, like the purchased media, so that's earned media I'm talking about. Purchased media is really predominantly directed to the Northwest with the exception, of TripAdvisor, some weather.com placements, and then we do some retargeting. So, if you fit these demographics and you shop, you're a bride, maybe you'll be served to visit McMinnville. Ad on bride.com if you had looked to have a wedding in Oregon and you are between these ages and have these interests, we may be able to retarget and visit you as you shop along the You've been served those ads, I'm sure.
Sure. So you get a lot of feedback from the internet. One of the nice things about the internet is your ability to get, who's visiting your website.
Sure. And we have I'm very proud of our website right now. We've launched it last February. We've had over 90,000 unique visits, which is a great for ours. We did some baselining for. We reached out to one of the digital communication heads at Travel Oregon and said, where are we at? What would be good? He's like, well, I would expect in your first year that you guys would hit like 20,000. I'm like, oh, that's great. It's not even a year.
20,000
in
visits.
a year. We're at 90 and it's not even been, what is it? February will be our year anniversary. So it's working. A third of those visitors that are coming, that's unique visits. We've had more visits than that. Those are unique visitors. And a third of those are people that are visiting or looking for a place to stay, which is great. That means that we're hitting those goals as well, because ultimately that's what we're measured on. It's great. I mean, it's economic development if you come and spend the day and shop and eat. We just can't measure that that you've made an economic impact as as easily as the transient lodging tax going up by staying in a hotel. So
We've mentioned a lot of times that the website is core to bringing people to McMinnville.
Yep.
You say you love your website. What is it specifically about your website that you really like?
well, currently, it has a lot. It has more information than any other website on visiting the area. So it's a lot of information. Where we could improve is the ease of accessibility with that. So our next level, I love our website. It's visually compelling. It has video, all of our videos, all of our commercials. You can access all the dining and beverage options. It's pretty robust. What we're doing right now is researching a different type of a database that can make the information as accessible as possible, and then map and geolocate you. So in reference to where you are, get you closest to the thing that you're most interested in: cycling, dog friendly, blah blah blah, children friendly, Pinot Noir, all of those categories. So
There's a term that I've heard called waymaking.
Or wayfinding, yeah.
Wayfinding.
Yeah,
Wayfinding
we're working on that.
is define wayfinding.
Wayfinding is providing a system, providing a network or system of information which allows people to easily access parts of your community. So we have, over the last year and all the discussions that I've been involved in on the city level, internally with the expansion of Alpine Avenue and our transportation bond and the new, the Granary District, and then you've got Linfield College and North McMinnville, it's evident that there's a lot of fractured resources in town that don't have, for a tourist, a clear signage plan or aesthetic that links everything together, that gives people an idea of how to get around. If you take that even further, how do we get to McMinnville quicker from the highways? How do we track folks? I mean, it's my opinion that on both sides of town, all of the entries could use some more attractive signage. And if we look even further out at the McDougall Junction, which is Highway 18, where it splits there, you can go through Lafayette or come in the other way. How do we let people know that if you turn left there, that's historic McMinnville this way, or North McMinnville the other way? It's just sort of a crapshoot how people get to us. So I think that we can really curate their experience and get them around town easily, accessing the things that they need. So in that vein, Visit McMinnville has put together a committee to kind of address that. We've got city. The mayor-elect sits on that. Our 4 economic development partners. We've got just a roundtable, city planner, roundtable of great folks talking about this, and we're looking currently at going out for some grants through Travel Oregon to help us with this program as a community, because it's bigger than tourism. It takes on all aspects of the city, but it does have such an impact on tourism that it's nice for us to be able to help lead that conversation. So we're working right now on a scope and plan with a company called Sea Reach, and they are based out of Sheridan, believe it or not. It's this wonderful company that does work all over the country with national parks, huge cities, city of Seattle, doing just that, providing wayfinding. And they're right in our backyard, and they don't really have much of a presence here in their own backyard. So it's fun to kind of conceptualize with them. And we're working currently on a scoped, raising funds currently for the initial plan, of which we can phase out over some years to come, and hopefully get some matching grants to help fund that.
As we look at tourism in the future at McMinnville, are you excited about it?
I'm extremely excited because I have the best job in the world. It's the opportunities here in McMinnville and in Yamhill County in general are huge. And I truly believe it's sort of it's a tipping point of, it's agriculture and commerce and lifestyle and education and history and all these things coming together at once to really create something, magnify what's already something very special. It's a thrilling time.
If people want to find out more about Visit McMinnville and maybe your story and what's happening, where can they go?
VisitMcMinnville.com is our website. You can follow us on social media, on Facebook. We are on Instagram. There's a lot of on the About Us on the Visit McMinnville website will give you a lot of our history, our agendas, our minutes. You can come to our meetings; they're public.
When are the meetings?
Meetings we meet every every third Wednesday of the month here at the Visit McMinnville office at 9:30 in the morning. And we post all those. Another great way to stay in touch with what's going on is to be a part of our newsletter. And you can sign up online or give us a call. We issue a monthly tourism stakeholder newsletter that's sort of a state of the union on what's happening locally in tourism, the impact that we're having, our creative content. And you can also log on the website and post events. So we're really about creating, it's not a pay-to-play organization. Our benefit, what we're doing should be benefiting anyone in the city of McMinnville that has a stake in tourism.
What would you say to people that, and kind of like a not in my backyard where and some people might have come from like a coastal city where they simply don't like tourists because they're in the way, they cause traffic jams, they don't know where they're going. They just don't like them because they're a nuisance.
Yeah.
What would you say to those folks?
I would say I'm sorry.
Okay. After you say you're sorry.
I don't know I don't know how I would respond to that. I would say that you are living in a very attractive place for tourists, and that is going to continue to grow regardless of Visit McMinnville's efforts. So if it's a place that you're not a fan of tourism, I would say that you would embrace them, or maybe.
How about this as an answer? They bring money to town.
They bring money to town. It's pure economic development. They bring money to town, and what we can do as a community is, hopefully take advantage of that, creating community-owned jobs, providing services to the folks that are here. Inevitably, tourists are going to visit. The town's going to grow. Some of them are going to stay, want to live here. It's going to attract more qualified. Just our workforce will grow. It's got long-term effects, not just in the immediate tourism, but in the creation of jobs, creation of more housing, more opportunity in general.
Now, if you want to know where Visit McMinnville office is, I'm looking right out the window here, and I see the drive-in of the U.S. Bank here on 3rd Street. So they're right across from U.S. Bank. And there's a wine shop, Woodward Wines. I'm looking out the window and see Woodward Wines. So that is how you find Visit McMinnville and Jeff Knapp. Jeff, it's been a pleasure to talk to you. Good luck.
Thanks for having me.
And looking forward to seeing great things happen in tourism in Yamhill County and McMinnville.
Yeah, thanks for putting this town hall on. I'm excited to watch the upcoming ones. And if you have any questions or anything that we can do, we are a public servant to the promotion of McMinnville and all the wonder that we have here. So feel free to pick up a phone, shoot an email. We hear a lot of positive things, but we also love to hear people's opinions on how we can tweak things and do a better job. So thanks for the opportunity.
And you also, speaking of future programs, on the 30th of this month, we're going to be talking to the director of Gospel Rescue Mission, also Dave Hageberg, a local attorney who has been very active in helping the Gospel Rescue Mission and helpful in trying to help the homeless situation in McMinnville. So we're going to be talking to the director and talking about the expansion of the Gospel Rescue Mission, just what's going on with homeless. There is a NIMBY, there is a Not in My Backyard. There are people that feel that as you make it more attractive for homeless folks to come, that you'll bring more of them. Now, one of the things that you'll find with the town hall, and one of the things, quite frankly, if I can get on an editorial position here, one of the things that is distressing to me is in this country we've kind of lost the ability to dialogue. It would be nice to be able to talk about issues, even controversial issues, like homelessness, marijuana, where we can have a dialogue. So what we want to do with the town hall on the radio is we may not all agree. You may not agree with me, I may not agree with you, you may not agree with the guest, but allow them the ability to share their opinions and respect them as an individual, because we all have different opinions. So that program is coming up on the 30th of this month. December 7th, which is Pearl Harbor anniversary, we'll be talking to a number of veterans at the American Legion Post 21 in McMinnville about what it's like to be a veteran today. What are some of the issues they're facing? There is a proposal being floated out there by at least one of the individuals that was being discussed as heading the Veterans Administration, that it's time to essentially rebuild it or throw it out and rebuild it. Should that happen? What do you think? So the town hall on KLYC is going to be an area or a time where we can talk about these issues, where we can have a frank discussion. We may not always agree, but it's a venue where we can vet some of these issues and use the local radio station to do it, use the online means that we have with KLYC Video to do it as well, and we're pretty excited about it. The Innovate project, that's pretty exciting, and we're going to be talking about that as well. So stay tuned for more information as far as these programs. Maybe there's something that you would like us to do a program on, and we haven't thought about it yet. Just send me an email. Send it to Dave or news@klyc.us. These shows will always be broadcast live on KLYC, like this one is now, and streamed live on the internet. And then you can go in later and either listen to the podcast in audio form or watch the video. Now, obviously, tonight in the video, you're just seeing two guys talk to each other. But in some of the shows, there will be an audience, and there will be people, and there will be some things going on. So thank you for being with us tonight in this trial run of KLYC Town Hall, and we look forward to coming to you again. And thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. My pleasure.
AM 1260 KLYC, and on the radio side, we are going to get back to the music. Here's Fats Domino, Blueberry Hill. Don't forget Wolfman Jack coming up at 7 o'clock tonight when radio was, at 8 and 9 o'clock. Have a good evening.